Hiya, hello, and welcome to 1111 Divine Lovers series. My name is Serene Priestess Gorgeous, coming to you from the Vertex of Abundance Galactic Temple of Ascension. I'll be your oracle today. Excuse me just a moment. Wow. So we're going to cover the soulmate, twin flame, higher energy, higher vibrational soulmate energy. I'm going to take a sip of this tea. Clear my throat. Now, remember, we're in Scorpio time, so these messages are going to be a little bit harsher, etc., etc. And it's the Scorpio new moon. So the guidance will be geared towards the divine feminine, and my findings will be geared towards the divine masculine. This side over here is the divine masculine. This side over here is the divine feminine. From what I can see, the divine feminine has a little bit more going on for her or them this month. Now, you don't need to be female assigned at birth or male assigned at birth to embody the divine feminine. Oftentimes throughout your life, it'll switch. And what characterizes the feminine energy is that which proceeds from the womb. It is less physical than the masculine energy. Masculine typically takes on the shape and the form of creation. The feminine usually embodies the consciousness and the feeling or the astral self of creation, okay? So normally when you can imagine and you can experience and you can intuit, that's more feminine. And when you can go out and create or be actively manifest something versus sitting in a cycle and attracting something, that's more masculine. And it's irrespective of your anatomy, your gender assigned at birth. And then if you're in a true twin flame situation, normally what you'll see is as the node shift, which happens on the 16th of this month, if you'll switch polarities. So if you were the divine feminine as a female during the last 18 months, typically when the node shift, you'll be the divine masculine as a female for the next 18 months, give or take. There are other things you need to look at as well. Okay. So if you want to look at this tableau that I'm using to get the energy out, let me just go ahead and punch in. So we're using tableau number 58, and I will draw another tableau on the 7th of December. So that's the Sagittarius new moon, and that's how it'll work. This cycle is going to go from the 7th of November to the 6th of December. Okay, so why don't we just say about the 7th? It'll go from the 7th to the 7th. All right, 7th of November, 7th of December. So there'll be another 1111 Divine Lovers series around the new moon in Sagittarius, and that's how it goes. We do the divine soulmate energy around the new moon. We do the karmic twin flame, the purging energy around the full moon. All right? Great. So I do see that the, excuse me, I apologize. Yet again, I'm purging all animal products from my diet, and whenever you get rid of, and they're playing mahjong upstairs in the temple, there may be a little bit of noise in the background. Whenever you purge dairy from your diet, it'll bring up a lot of mucus, but it's usually you're expelling it. And that's literally what Scorpio is. It's we call that an expectorant, which expels excess vibration from the physical vessel. Okay, so these are some spiritual terms. Expectorant, Scorpio, those are both the same kind of idea, to get to the depths of something inside the membrane to where you can no longer separate yourself from another person, and then as things come up, you either align with them or you release them. So the feminine has the King of Pentacles on her side, and the masculine has the King of Swords on his side, but I wouldn't consider that an asset because it seems that he's suffering and doing some shady, and she is aligned with him, but has practiced her discernment to go and manifest some things. For her, with this Five of Swords, there are some boundaries that need to be instituted in order for this to come together, and she's already found a way out, a strategy out. Now, to be honest, it seems here that the masculine energy is suffering, whether he's a male or female. the masculine, they are suffering. It means that up until recently, they were either doing too much or too little, and now this is just a hard lesson for them. So we have 5, 6, 7 on the feminine side, plus the queen, and we only have 9 and 13 on the masculine side, which is 9 and the king. So let's go ahead and see the guidance. And that was to the masculine, by the way, what I was telling. The masculine, you know, in heaven, you're kind of good to go. You're in love, but you don't know how to bring that energy down here to earth. As you move towards this love, it brings you, you have to release a lot of your conditioning and programming. You lack the ability to transmute, transform, transfigure. So there's been some conditioning and some programming, some stuck on stupid issues from the past, probably your upbringing and your rearing, and you're not able to be an emotional adult. I don't believe in that whole grown-ass man thing. You're not able to be an emotional adult, so the experiences that you're having according to your emotional body, you feel that other people are responsible. You might also be hung up on some stupid or some addiction, okay? But you would be healing, so I don't need to harangue you, dude. It's just that you need to make sure that you are aware of the sacrifice to be made. The sacrifice to be made would be opening up and talking about your feelings, opening up and talking about your obstacles, and you're trying to control something. Up until recently, you were either trying to control something or, yeah, no, I'm just going to tell you straight to your face. There was a lack of communication. No, this is positive energy. It's going to be shifting and changing. So if you know how to attain the wisdom out of the situation, it can come together. So you were struggling to masculine, I'm still talking to the masculine, you were struggling to formulate some type of foundation. That's what was creating the suffering. And the addiction, if there was any addiction, it wasn't addiction, it was a fear of sex, a fear of intimacy, a fear of getting into your lower nature, leaving the mind, leaving the reasoning, the intellect, leaving the left brain. That could be your ego if you're refusing to ascend. So that was the findings to the masculine. Now we'll talk for the rest of the series for the feminine, because we're going to go through the guidance now. Whenever we're in a feminine sign, meaning the Scorpio new moon, we'll give the guidance to the feminine. Okay, so normally I would start here, but with the Fool card, that's where you start. So it's saying that up until recently, you were lacking discernment. Something was hiding in the shadow. There was something you were trying to manifest into the physical, and you had all that you needed to do, but when you got it, so you actually had this love, and you have this love. It wouldn't feel like it, though. There is something hiding in the shadow. And the situation is completing itself. You've laid all the proper groundwork, and you're feeling a little bit left out because somebody's not honoring your boundaries. They're not honoring your self-worth and value, and your spirit itself does not feel honored, and you're not able to see how to move on. So in my understanding is that this situation's over. I was saying that it's positive, but the thing about it was that it just because somebody was your soulmate doesn't mean that you're going to be with them for the rest of your life. Your twin flame is your higher self. It gets anchored into the physical through a member of the soul group. Soul groups can also include soulmates that you have sex with, lovers. Okay. Now, a soulmate can be your dog, can be your neighbor, can be your teacher, can be your preacher, can be your sister, can be your brother, can be your mother, can be your father, can be your best friend, could be the bus driver if you see him every day, could be the mailman if you see him every day. Now, you enter soulmate relationships to have your higher self mirrored back to you. But there's a vibration at which the twin flame comes through. Now, soulmate is always the higher self mirroring back to you. It can be your lower self too, but if you're having your lower self mirrored back to you, it means you're very low in vibration, because when you attract a person, it's always going to be what you're growing into, not where you are now. So and this is not a karmic series. So I'm going to tell you about the karma of the situation so that you can understand the light aspect, because it's hard to hear that the relationship has served its purpose and the only where from here is to another relationship, especially when you had a deep bond and soul tie to this person. So let's talk about a karmic relationship, because it's easier to hear, because this is not that, and it won't feel as hurtful. Oftentimes we suppress, we repress, and project our shit onto other people. And when we become aware of our own stuff, because we're dishonoring, diluting, diminishing, distorting, disowning our true spirit, karma, life path, destiny, meaning we are not honoring our soul purpose in this physical manifestation, we attract a karmic relationship. Okay, now that means that we're at, let's say, a level 4 vibration, and we attract a level 5 vibration, but anything under the level 7 vibration is karmic. After the 7th dimension, we experience heavenly energy. You need to get to 700 megahertz or more in order to experience heavenly energy. Now, heaven actually exists at 990 and above. Some would argue 9100 and or 910 and above megahertz. But heavenly beings, heavenly archangels start at 700. Okay. So the average human is between 350 and 450 megahertz. The apex of the animal kingdom is around 350 megahertz. So those apex animals, 7 archetypes of apex animals, humans are at the apex of the animal kingdom, because there's a difference between human, mankind, and good man or God man. Okay. So any being that can operate above 350 can operate at the apex of their environment. But for a human operating at the apex, normally it's a demon. Somebody who's making a lot of money, somebody who's really good at sex, somebody who's really good at control, power. So what takes you from the 450 megahertz to the 700 plus megahertz is Saraswati. Self-knowledge. That's what increases your vibration. Because you can increase your vibration to 450 megahertz, and then you could start like the celebrities. You'll gain more power, but your power will be inverted, going towards hell than going towards heaven. So that's because you increase your vibration, it might be starting to go from 450 to negative 450, which you're still powerful, but you're inverted. Okay. So I said all that to get to the point here. So this relationship has served its purpose, and it will try to come back. But whenever the Lover's card is in reverse, it served its purpose. And I'm not sensing any type of twin flame energy. What it says here is ultimately both of you are going to need to become aware of the cycle. Because you're not going to grow together, you're going to grow apart. You accomplish this connection, the person comes back, feminine, and they want to talk, but all you're going to get is closure. They're not going to block you out anymore. They're done kind of hiding. They will come forward and they'll try to have sex with you. And they're not really going to give you love. They're not going to give you an emotional commitment. And they're not going to build up any type of long-term commitment either, where it can say like, we're going to live together, we're going to be committed, we're going to do all of that stuff. So your journey will begin with it ending. And all you're really going to get is closure and clarity. In the 3rd dimension, you're looking at this journey that's about to begin, and you have a cup that is open and receptive to receiving, but nothing's going to fill it. In the 4th dimension, emotionally, what's going to happen is you're going to manifest what it is that you want, but the thing about that is it's not going to go anywhere. So you get your dream job, for instance. Sun in reverse, you get your dream job, but oh, you're on probation for 90 days. You better be careful not to lose it. Your dream man comes around, but he lives halfway across the country with a wife. So, oh, You get to know what your dream man looks like, what qualities you want from your ideal person, but you can't have that specific human. You got to manifest those qualities in another human. King of Pentacles, you manifest that in the third dimension, even though we're talking about the fourth dimensional body here. But this is when you get what you want, but you don't feel expansion, vitality, renewal. Something is missing. Fifth dimensional body, that's the mind and the superconscious. So it's saying that this situation is completed. You've gone as far as you can go, Seven of Pentacles. You've laid all the groundwork. Anything else that comes is going to have to be in what's called co-creation with another person or with the universe. When you get up to the seven, that's everything you can do on your own. The rest is going to need to be in collaboration. So you've accomplished, you've manifested, you've accomplished. That's it. The more of this is to realize, okay, well, the archetype here is that you met the person that you needed to teach you the qualities and have the experiences. So this was a training role relationship, even though it was very divine in its nature. Hate to say, but it will get very toxic very quick if you try to make anything more of it. And the person may come back, and it might be helpful for you, Divine Feminine, because they, the masculine, will give you clarity. They're wise now, and they're smart enough to come back and see what's there. And they're gonna have, it's gonna happen towards the 7th of next month. So sometime in the next 9 days, well, right after Venus comes out of retrograde, they're gonna come back and communicate to you. So you may start to see their picture pop up on Facebook if you haven't blocked them or whatever. You may start to hear their name. You may see them walking in the street somewhere. And then you're going to talk for about 2 weeks. And then it's going to start to dissipate again. So it was good and it was working for you, but it was trying to get you to a higher vibration. And since you weren't willing to heal together, and it could be either party, I don't think it was you, Divine Feminine. As you were trying to make it work, or one party was trying to make it work, it was starting to repel because one vibration was increasing faster than the other vibration. And so the things that were clicking and synchronous became clunkety. They were beginning to repel. And it was the masculine who was taking the damn time trying to heal. Excuse me, I don't like to use the D word. God doesn't really have a lot of curse words. The D-A-M-N is really the only curse word they don't like in heaven. So it wasn't working because the divine masculine was taking their sweet little time healing. And the translation is they were sticking their feet in the mud, refusing to heal. And I'm hearing that song, I see you right through, yeah. I think it's an Alanis Morissette song. I walk right through, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry to have to sing. Sometimes I can't remember and get the energy without letting it move through me. So you were dazzled in the beginning, and they were more dazzled with you than you were with them. And then all of a sudden, you just outgrew them. You matured much faster than they did. And it brought you together. It brought both of you able to think about what I want from a person, what do I need from a person, who am I in this world, and how am I going to take who I am into a union where it's a mutually beneficial, nourishing situation. And y'all had to work through the conditioning and the programming, and you were able to do it faster, Divine Feminine. And now that the masculine's ready, like 18 months later, 6 months later, it ain't working for you. You'd have to reduce and limit and distort who you are. You'd have to go down a couple steps, a couple levels in vibration in order to acclimate his energy into your life, and that's going to be a repellent. The soul respect is not there. Typically that happens when your moon sign is closer to his than his is to yours. For instance, if you're an Aries moon and he's a Cancer moon, that's not going to work. He should be the Aries moon and you should be the Cancer moon. Why? Because it's a closer distance from his moon to your moon than it is from your moon to his moon. Because if your moon comes before his moon, what'll happen is, and I'm saying this because we have moon on top of moon, there's no mutual respect. And the respect that was there before was so that y'all could rise your vibration, come to recollection of your divine sense of self, and the relationship spent itself out, down. There's nothing left there. You're bigger, brighter, better than him, smarter than him, wiser than him, more spiritual than him, higher vibration than him, or them, the divine masculine. So when your moon is closer to his moon than his moon is to yours, and I would not say this, but we have moon on top of moon. Okay. It means that the respect will be spent out. Normally, there'll be a deep, deep, deep attraction, and you have Mars opposite Venus. Deep, deep, deep sexual attraction. But over time, you will lose respect for him because you have to keep reminding him, hey, let's go to the movies. Hey, let's do this. Suggest something. Why, it'll basically be like, why aren't you fun? Why do I always have to suggest something to do? Why do I always have to remind you what my needs are? And when the masculine's moon is closer to the feminine than the feminine's moon is closer to the masculine, what'll happen is he or they, the divine masculine, will always move towards the feminine quicker than the feminine. It'll be easier for the feminine to receive, and it'll be easier for the masculine to give. That's the moon situation. And you will divorce, whatever divorce looks like for you, break up, separate, repel, or actual legal divorce. Doesn't matter if it's 15 years later, it will happen. Okay. So this is not your path, and it's difficult for you to move on. I got to pause this for a moment, blow my nose. That might be TMI. Give me just a second. The difficulty for you, feminine, is that some aspect of you wants to hold on or wants to help him move to a bigger, better vibration. And see, that's the thing about a soulmate situation. Your karma is self-worth and respect. And at any time when you start sacrificing your self-worth and respect, that's when you plant the seeds of a karmic relationship. They came into your life to teach you self-worth and respect. And if you were able to grow together organically, that would have meant you had the opportunity to turn it into a twin flame eventually, and it's not. They had to do their healing separately. They've broken the cord, and as they come back, it's only for closure, and you're going to need to move on. So that's what I'm seeing here. I'm going to go through just a few more things. Let me just take an order from the universe. Okay, great. Yeah, so it is. You need to learn how to manifest. What is it that you want? What's alive in you? What are you thinking, wanting, feeling, and needing? What does your drive, your desire, and your willpower tell you? And it does say spiritual principles. So don't have sex with them again if you do want to take on the healing, but don't do any healing to have sex with them even in the future. If you're going to start treating them like a child or like a client, then that's what they are from now on. You're going to want to move towards an intimate relationship with them. And the thing about it is you're going to have a lot more power over them, and it is going to become karmic over time. So the relationship is actually spinning itself out. Now, let me see if I can help you with anything. This is most definitely true if you are Gemini rising or he is a Leo rising. Now, you can also be an Aquarius rising. So Aquarius rising, Gemini rising. You could also be an Aquarius moon. Gemini Venus. So Venus in Gemini or Gemini rising, moon in Aquarius or Aquarius rising, Mars in Leo or Leo rising. For the masculine, Mars in Leo or Leo rising, that is most definitely true. Some of you other ones will be a little bit more confused, and you'll have to check the show notes for a divine partnership assessment, because he's a control freak still. He doesn't want to admit fault. He doesn't grow up as quickly as you do. He can't get out of the mind as much as you do. He doesn't want to use spirituality. His spirituality is sexual. So it's future. You need to move on, go somewhere else, manifest more. All right, so it's been an honor, and it was still a beautiful relationship. It served its purpose. So how do you know what's a karmic relationship and how do you know what is a twin flame soulmate relationship? Well, first of all, twin flame, you feel them, they're in your heart. You have heart to heart communication, not just dream communication. That's a twin flame situation. Also, and most people they don't have that. You'll think you do, but that's your lower self trying to convince you of something else. Now, another thing about a karmic situation is when you come together and there's not a lot of issues to get the relationship off the ground and you're not cheating or doing any of those things, and cheating to me is much different than somebody else. Cheating is defrauding another person. Just because you stick your dick somewhere else or you allow somebody else into your bed that's not the person you made a formal arrangement with to be in a relationship with, that to me is not cheating. Cheating is defrauding a system. So some people have open relationships, some people are polyamorous. So if you need to hide or lie, which is a statement with the intent to deceive, that's cheating. Okay. Now, if somebody's married and they say my wife doesn't care, or me and my wife are having a separation and we're getting a divorce, that's not really cheating. Now, is it the best option? Absolutely not. Is it right? It's up to you to decide. Okay. Now, a karmic relationship is when all of a sudden there's a reason why y'all can't be together and you're trying to make it work. Instead of just coming up to the table and say, hey, we're out of alignment here. I do want this, but I'm having these obstacles. And then you're willing to walk away and come back another time or check in with each other every couple of weeks to see if a solution is available yet. Now, a lot of times soulmate relationships will work immediately. They'll come together, everything will be great. And it can turn karmic if when an obstacle comes, one person wants to hold on. If you're not able to let something that was working go when it begins to not work, then it becomes karmic. Okay. Now, sometimes a soulmate situation will come together. And if you can't be together in that moment for whatever reason, then it's karmic. For soulmate relationship comes together and you guys can immediately make it work, that is a soulmate catalytic situation. Why is it catalytic? Well, because when you leave, it spins itself down. Meaning if you come together on January 1st and nobody else is married, nobody else has any reasons why you can't be together, meaning they don't live in that city or whatever, it's soulmate. Say you come together and both of you are single, but one person lives in Dallas, the other person lives in Portland. Well, it's a catalytic situation. If he goes home to Dallas, packs up his bags and moves in with you, it's a catalytic situation. You're still soulmates. And then say 6 months later, he finds a job in Portland where he has to move to Spain. It's a catalytic soulmate. It's a soulmate when the person says, I like you, you're my boo, everything's working, and I want to make this a long time situation. Then it goes from soulmate to twin flame. Okay. Now, if he gets that job to Spain and you try to make him stay, it goes from a soulmate to a catalytic situation. Soulmates could be either twin flames, catalyst, or they could be karmic. They're still soulmates, all three of those. So I gave you a little bit of clarity. Let me just see if there's any final messages here. What is this sex thing with him? Because he seems to be a control freak. He doesn't want to come out with his emotions, even though he's in love. And it says in heaven, he's the female. Yeah, he needs to move on from some sex addictions. And that's why you came into his life, because he wasn't ever fully himself. And the way he connects to the goddess is through ecstasy. That's why a lot of addictions happen, because they want to melt back into the universal oneness and they can't do it through their higher self, because their higher self has been conditioned and programmed and beat down away. It's like when you take a creative child and you make them go to law school or something like that, then they just lose their spirit for the rest of their life. And it's very sad to see. It's like a standardized test. You bring all these animals from the animal kingdom to the table, and you're like, we're going to give you a standardized test. Everybody climb this tree, and that's what'll be your 50% of your grade. Well, it's kind of like only monkeys climb trees. Yeah, maybe a jaguar too, but monkeys climb trees, not fish, not whales, not elephants. Monkeys climb trees. You hear what I'm saying? And so it's kind of like, well, that conditioning and programming has killed your soul's consciousness in this lifetime. And until you can go back and change your belief system and your conditioning and programming, meaning how you respond to stimuli, you're going to be limited in your soul's consciousness, and your vibration is going to be capped at a certain level. Okay, it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you today. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. If anything I said resonates deeply with you, go ahead and check the show notes. There's resources for you there. As always, remember to comment, subscribe, and like. And if comments are open, go ahead and leave one and share with your friends, and take good care of yourself. Namaste, Dandavat, and Ashe. Au revoir. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Bye, everyone. Dandavat.